If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
This is a More Than Just Podcast production.
All right, welcome to Spotcast, Season 8, Episode 3. My name is Dimitra. I am in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm joined by Jonathan Kuline in Florenceville, Bristol, New Brunswick.
Hello there, kids.
And once again, Jaime Lopez Jr. is stuck in United Airlines transporter buffer.
Our poor guy is having more transport problems than those guys who ended up mangled at the beginning of Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he doesn't get, materialized with some other person. Hymex, Hymex.
How would we decide which one to choose? Who do we keep?
Yeah. Well, exactly. We have to kill one of them. Alrighty, well, let's get into some fact check here. Edmonton, which we talked about briefly last week, Edmonton, New Brunswick, has a Cinema 5, Cinema V, Cinema V, I don't know, which has 4 cinemas, and they do list that they have 3D movies. But and the thing is, like, when I went to the website, it came up French first, so I kind of wonder, are they showing them in French or in English, or do you choose?
Yeah, Edmonton's right on that bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the whole province is bilingual, but
it is.
Edmonton's very close to Quebec, so who knows, right? Mm-hmm. It would suck to drive. Well, and the thing is, to drive from your house, you are exactly the same distance from Edmonton as you are from Fredericton.
Yes, but because of where Edmonton is, right next to the highway, it's actually probably faster.
Oh, true. Yeah, maybe. But I did the if I had to drive from Jonathan's house to the theater in either direction, there you go. Fredericton has a few cinemas listed, but I think some of them are like one's like a small cinema, and the other one's actually, I think, part of the university.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like it says theater, not necessarily cinema, right?
Yeah. And
I was talking about the Dr. Seuss movie I was talking about is called The 500 Fingers of Dr. Terwilliger, but it's listed on the poster as 500 Fingers of Dr. T, probably because they couldn't figure out how to spell Terwilliger or get it on the poster. Yeah. So it's from the 50s, I think, or I should probably have done some research on that. But I've got a trailer here from the actual movie itself, and it's very Dr. Seuss-like, but it's live action. There's a little boy in it, and a man in there too. Anyway, and he goes in this adventure. He's a keyboard player or a piano player, and Dr. Terwilliger it's kind of wants all these kids to play this piece that he's written and take over the world or something like that. Something weird.
Okay.
But it's very atomic. A lot of things are atomic in it. That was the point of that. All right, and then we'll move on to our headlines. I don't know if you read this one, but I just heard about this yesterday, that Disney Plus and Hulu are to merge. I don't know if we knew that for sure, but apparently what's happening in the United States app is they're getting rid of the Hulu app, and it's going to replace Star in the Disney Plus app, right? So now we have Star here, right, in Canada.
We do, and that's because there was no Hulu available here. So we've been getting our Hulu content through Star.
Oh, have we? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so them losing Star and getting Hulu is not really going to change the content to get?
No, it should be similar to what we have now, where it's basically all of the Disney, Fox, FX, all that content, including the Hulu content, will just be in one spot as opposed to 2 apps, which we've never had. They have down.
Oh, really? So like if they want to watch Simpsons, they have to go to the Hulu app?
I don't know if it's Simpsons, but I do know that it's like, Futurama, I think was a Hulu thing. Like some of that stuff that we just get on our app is a Hulu thing for our neighbors in the South.
Okay, cool. All right, and then over to you for the next bunch of highlights.
Yeah, so we've got some casting news, a little Star Wars news. Got 3 Star Wars news. Here we go. Matt Smith, our man, the former Doctor himself, also the evil prince on House of the Dragon, is going to be the bad guy in the new Star Wars Jedi Starfighter movie that is coming out. By the way,
he's also pictured on the very first episode of this podcast.
There you go. He is going to be the bad guy in Jedi Starfighter opposite Ryan Gosling as the hero. So they're pulling out some stops. This is I love Matt Smith. I'd watch him in anything. So he was the only thing that made that Morbius movie anything palatable in any way, shape, or form, because he was just like having a good time. And
in the first one or the second one, or the third one? I haven't watched any of the Morbiuses.
There's only one Morbius, thank God.
Oh, okay.
But he was in that, and then obviously there was a possibility they were going to sort of create this larger Spider-Man universe. But then, given that it's terrible, they've decided not to do that. Thank goodness. But
okay, what was the one that they did 3 of, and with
Venom?
Venom. Okay.
Yeah, Venom. They did multiples of, but
not to be confused at all.
Yeah. But then they also did like Madam Web, and they did Morbius, and they did. Kraven the Hunter as sort of these other parts of the Spider-Verse, hoping to be able to sort of continue doing stuff there, and they were all really quite not so good. So yeah, so I'm excited. I think Matt brings a certain je ne sais quoi to any project. He's really good. It'd be nice to hopefully he's not wearing like a long blonde wig, because that's been kind of tripping me out on House of the Dragon, but yeah, good. Other Star Wars news. This one is like really, really far out ahead of it. Star Wars is coming back. Star Wars potentially A New Hope is coming back to theaters for its 50th anniversary, which isn't until spring of 2027. So we're talking almost 2 years from now. They've already announced that they're going to bring it back to theaters for this anniversary. I think if I had asked you what they were going to do for the 20th or 50th anniversary of Star Wars, you'd have said they're going to put the movies back in the theaters. So it's kind of not a surprise by any means. I think the only surprising part is that they decided to announce it 2 years ahead of time. But the question that I think is on a lot of people's minds is, what version of the movie are we going to get in theaters? Are we just going to get the standard?
Are they going to make it 3D or something?
Yeah, are we going to get 3D? Are we going to get standard? Are we going to get the original? God forbid. Like, what are we actually getting? So I think that's sort of the question mark around this announcement is what does this mean? What are we getting next? So yeah, I mean, I'd like to see Star Wars in the theater again. I've seen it there probably 40 times. So why not 41?
Yeah, I've seen it at least 3 times, but yeah. Well, I saw it twice the first weekend it came out. So, in
fairness, the choices were: would you like to go see Star Wars again, or would you like to go shopping? So I went and saw Star Wars pretty much every weekend when I was a kid.
Yep. Cool.
And this, sorry.
No, I was going to say, and I hopefully it would be nice to see if they could bring out like the original one, cut or whatever. But of course, George has already put his foot in that one, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, I would be surprised if they actually did go forward with that, if they decided that was, going to be something that they wanted to do. I can't imagine George being okay with that, but yeah, well, who knows? And the last bit of Star Wars news. So this just came over the wire not that long ago. Disney and Gina Carano have settled the wrongful dismissal lawsuit that she filed against them after she was let go in the wake of making a lot of inflammatory comments on X. Her case was subsidized by a guy named Elon Musk. He paid all of her legal fees because he saw it as a free speech, because her contract did not explicitly say that she couldn't, say all the negative and hateful things that she was saying on social media.
On X too, right? Yeah.
And he felt like this was an opportunity to insert himself into these conversations. And so... whatever. Anyway, it's the funniest part is the statement where it basically says, we've reached an agreement. We're glad this is settled, and we look forward to looking for another opportunity to work together. And it was like, oh my God, they're not going to bring her back, are they?
As a character, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be what the
gist is.
The gist of that note was, and I was like, really? Are we going to do that? Like, can we not?
Yeah.
I don't know. I was not. I would be shocked if they did that, but you know, given the capitulation that we've seen around, this sort of capitulation around what we've seen in the United States right now, I wouldn't be surprised if someone was, going to do that. So who knows? Okay. Away from Star Trek, or Star Wars rather, we're going to do some Spider-Man. So they have announced they're going to do a Spider-Punk movie spinning out of the Spider-Verse movies, the Miles Morales movies that they've done. They are going to have Daniel Kaluuya is going to come back and reprise his role. He's working on developing it and producing it as well. I thought that Spider-Punk was a really cool part of that movie, and I do think that I've read the comics where Spider-Punk appears. Fun character. I don't know that I need an entire Spider-Punk movie, but considering how I didn't know, so many things that if they've decided to green light, if the right people get a hold of it and they do a good job, it could be great. So who knows? Are you into a Spider-Punk movie?
Well, he's one of the characters I wouldn't be able. I mean, I could tell you the Porky Pig sort of Spider-Man and the Gwen Spider-Man and the Miles Morales person, but I don't know which guy. He's the sort of off the wall weird guy. Sort of.
He's the one who's like, yeah, he's black. He's got a big afro, and then he's kind of like stereotypical, anarchist kind of punk figure in the movies. He's kind of the foil to Miles's relationship with Gwen in the second Spider-Verse movie. And he has a very sort of it's kind of anarchic kind of approach, art style too. When they show him, he kind of got his own sort of crazy colors and vibes, spray painty kind of thing going on, which is kind of cool. So again, I think the animation possibilities are really interesting, but I can't say that I was clamoring for this, but could be good.
Yeah, it's interesting, because the again, this is bringing up the Vision Pro again, but the first movie, the first of the Spider-Verse movies, is in 3D, right? Mm-hmm. The second one is not.
Was it in theaters in 3D? I feel like it was.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, definitely. I think so. And then, but what's odd too is that because of the Disney sort of, I don't know how they're connected to it, but all of the Transformer movies are now on Disney Plus, right? And there's a bunch of them, like Bumblebee and Rise of the Beasts, and one for sure, the Transformers one, and another one, and there's another one too that are in 3D. You can buy them in 3D on Vision Pro, but on Disney Plus, which presents them in 3D, presents movies in 3D, does not present these ones in 3D.
Weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Like all of the Disney stuff that's in 3D is in 3D in the Disney Plus app. Yeah, it's just well, I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine, like, if it was produced in 3D, what's the big deal about releasing a cut that's in 3D, right? So
yeah, I don't get it.
Maybe it's I don't know, disk space thing at Apple. Maybe there's not enough room in the cloud or something.
Yeah,
I don't know, or it's money, or it's production, or something, or licensing, or who knows? But it's odd. It's odd the decisions they make. Like again, like why is and same thing with Dune. Like Dune, the first version of Dune is in 3D, and I don't remember seeing it in 3D in the theaters. Right? We saw it in IMAX, right? Which was just like big, but not 3D. And the second one is not in 3D, but the first one is. Just odd decisions that these publishers make. And I wish I knew the reason, but I can't think of it. I mean, like so the answer is if you want to watch Bumblebee in 3D. And I'm kind of torn. I started watching it, but I'm like, do I wait for it to go on sale and then buy it and watch it on the Vision Pro in 3D and enjoy the mayhem that is the Transformer movies in 3D, or do I watch it on Disney Plus and just be satisfied with a flat movie? Like we talked about this last week, and I'm just talking about the Spider-Verse things, but I brought that reminded me of this conversation. And it's like the Avatar movies. If you watch them in 2D, they're just movies, right? But if you watch them in 3D, then they're interesting, exciting, visually stunning,
yeah,
stuff, especially like the dragons flying and the floating, islands and stuff like that, right? Anyway, that said, speaking of AI, this is an interesting thing I saw on The Verge today. I was just hovering around Instagram, and this is an article, and I'm not sure the name of the lady reporter. But she did a little thing here where Grok is now making it possible, like a lot of systems, to do deep fake movie videos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between Grok and the other services won't let you do celebrities, and they won't let you do naked people. They won't let you do, like, they have a line in the sand. They no, right? It took her 2 seconds to make a video on Grok, a naked Taylor Swift video on Grok.
Oh no!
In fact, she didn't even ask for the character to take off her top half, right? But she just does, like, without and it's just crazy. If you watch this little clip here, just all of a sudden Grok is just gone bananas, right? I don't know, maybe that's MAGA or something, but yeah, it's weird. Yeah, that's not cool.
Nope. Sounds like a lot of lawsuits waiting to happen.
Yeah, well, and the interesting thing that the author talks about is that X and Taylor Swift already have issues, right?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, there's already been lawsuits and things, but yeah, you can just say, hey, make me a Taylor Swift coming out of a grocery store with a bag of milk, and presto change, you have a video of her doing that, exactly that.
That's weird.
With a guitar, without a guitar, it's like, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, just very, very tasteless, but what can you do?
Yeah, well, doesn't exactly make you want to keep your images out there in the public, does it?
Yeah. And I don't know if you saw on our Slack channel, I posted a video. I just happened to be, the Eagles is a funny thing. I'm a big fan of Rick Beato. We talked about him before.
Yep.
And he finally got permission by the Eagles to do a breakdown of one of their songs, right? And it's the Peaceful Easy Feeling song, which I don't think was actually written by the members of the band, which is maybe why he was able to get the rights to do that, right? But I have a clip here from a David Letterman show where he was just musing with Paul Schaefer about playing an Eagles song, like, either have the band play it or just play a bit of it, right? And the producers on the, the people on the side of the show, the people behind the cameras are saying, no, absolutely not. He goes, well, what do you mean? And he says, we asked them to, we asked if we could play a song, and they said, absolutely not on television, right? So my post here is that the Eagles deserve to fade into obscurity because that's what's going to happen. Like, the YouTubes and the TikToks are not going to, because they block everybody who posts anything with their music on it. They block them, right? And it used to be Don Henley, but apparently it's a publishing company now. But yeah, he's particularly bad about it. Like, litigious about it.
I mean, some artists are extremely protective of their legacy, even to the point of revisionist history. The one that's always bothered me is that Pink Floyd licensed its music to WKRP in Cincinnati, which is one of my favorite old sitcoms. And when it came time to release it on home media, they basically said, like, hey, we didn't have this agreement for home media. We just had it for television. Can we re-up? And they were like, absolutely not. They're like, really? We actually wrote your music into scenes. It's not like just playing in the background. Like, it's actually
there's a scene where Johnny's
listening to dogs, right?
Yeah.
And that scene had to be taken out entirely from from the digital and from the physical release. That scene is not in there at all. The only way you can see it is on YouTube or social media. And it's sad because
we'll have it in the show notes for you folks. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's just sad because, obviously music was a big part. And, there's a few artists who have actually credited that show, which of course came out, in the late 1970s and into the early 1980s. Some artists actually said, like, hey, we actually got a really nice bump from being on that show because that's the first place people heard our music. So it's frustrating when artists are like, yeah, we let you use that way back in the day, but not now. It's like, well, what changed? Like, why? And they're like, well, they just, is it just a money grab? Like, I'm sorry, but I refuse to believe any of those members of those bands really need the money. And,
They don't. No,
it's just, at this point, it's just, it's principle, it's ego, it is whatever it is, but it's disappointing because, as I say, it diminishes the art of another by its absence. So, yeah.
No, and at the end of the day, like, it's kind of like, I mean, the reason I know about The Tale of Two Cities, or I know about, the Christmas Carol, is because, and I know that Charles Dickens wrote that, is because you can hear that or read it or see it.
Yep.
In various media in your life, right? Like, it's ridiculous that these.
Well, and again, eventually everything loses its copyright in every country. Mm-hmm. It's just, it won't happen in our lifetime. So, like, somewhere in the far-flung future, someone will have reassembled all these things in their original intended form. It's just, again, it's absurd. While people who are fans all are alive, they won't be able to do that. It's kind of goofy, but
Anyway, if you watch this show, like they can't even like they can't even say like a few lines. They play it like CBS commissioned a knockoff of Life in the Fast Lane, and it's like it's pretty close, but not quite, right? So, and of course, Paul Schaefer starts putting lyrics to it, right, which sound like the song lyrics, but not quite, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
By the way, you just reminded me. Speaking of WKRP, rest in peace, Lonnie Anderson, who passed away a couple of days ago.
Yeah. It's that was another one of those sad sort of big part of your childhood, youth, whatever is gone kind of moments. Honestly, I knew she was alive because I knew I hadn't seen any note that she had died, but she's been out of the limelight for quite a long time and retired, obviously. But yeah, it's very, very sad to sort of see those parts of your youth and childhood slip away.
Mm-hmm. And a day before her birthday, her 80th birthday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wasn't she? She was a girlfriend of Burt Reynolds, but she wasn't married to him.
They
right?
were married for I think a decade. Yeah. They got married in the 80s and lasted until the 90s. They had children together, at least one child, I think.
Really? Well, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, they were an item for quite a long time. And again, they were like A-list, top of the line. I mean, for a while there, Burt was the biggest movie star in the world. Like he was from mid 70s through the mid 80s. He was a can't miss.
Well, there's only a few WKRP stars left because Gordon Jump's gone, Howard Hessman's gone.
Yeah, and he just passed away not that long ago too. Yeah, we still have Tim Reed. We still have.
Is he still around? Okay, I thought.
Yeah, Tim's
he
still
died. Oh, sorry, he died in Firefly. He didn't die, or Serenity. He didn't die.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, Tim's still around, and oh no, you're thinking of the guy from Barney Miller, the guy.
Yeah, him too.
But yeah, Tim Reed's still around, and the guy who played Andy is still around. The guy who played the woman who played Bailey is still around.
Yeah.
But I think the three of them might be it. Oh, I don't know if Richard Sanders is still alive. The guy who played Les Nessman. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, but Herb Tarlick's still around. Yeah.
No, he died. He died.
Oh, did he?
Not that long ago. Maybe within the last few years.
Okay.
But yeah, it's it's getting to that point where the last of us are starting to go, right? I mean, really, we're only down to 3 original members of Star Trek left, right? It's Shatner, Chekhov, and Sulu are it, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Well, I guess that brings us to the main part of the show where we're talking about something Star Trek related. This time we're covering Strange New Worlds, Season 3, Episode 5, Through the Lens of Time.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of trippy.
Yeah, this was a real gear shift from last week's sort of fun and flirty and colorful and quirky kind of adventure story where they sort of did the homage to the 1960s Star Trek. This was pretty much flat out a horror episode, right?
Yeah. So spoilers, we did lose a character too. So what's your pitch?
My elevator pitch for this one was sometimes a guy in a white shirt is just a red shirt waiting to happen.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We fell for it, right? We fell for it. They put this guy in a white shirt. They introduced him. I think
he did the Ensign's log or whatever.
Yeah. This one felt very much like exactly what we were talking about last week. It seems like they're introducing certain characters to dispose of characters, and we know that when they go away on these missions, we know who's coming back for sure, and we know who might not. Again, I love Christina Chong's performance as La'an, and I'm worried because she could be killed off. And same thing, actually, I was really enjoying the character of Gamble, the medical ensign, who he was brought in at the beginning of the season because he was supposed to be filling in for Chapel while she was away working with her boyfriend, and then M'Benga took a shining to him, and so he's been sticking around.
Kept him on, yeah.
He made it through 5 episodes, so good for him. That's half a season. That's not bad. I think what that does is it gives us as fans, it's a lot less cheap than introducing a character at the beginning of the episode, killing him off halfway through or at the end of the episode and having you be like, well, we didn't really know him, who cares? At least they took the time to sort of have him be in episodes. He was a very likable character. He was very upbeat and smiley and just seemed to be really enjoying himself. So you did feel the loss of that character as the episode plays out. But definitely this all inescapably ties into the prequel problem. It really does. There's no way around the fact that we had to introduce a character, get invested in them, and kill them off, because we can't do that with so many of these characters.
Trying to find his name here.
The actor or the character?
Yeah, the actor.
Yeah, I didn't write it down.
He was helping Battelle with her injuries, right?
Yeah.
Is it Lieutenant Chanel?
No, it was medical assistant Dana Gamble.
Oh, here, Ensign Gamble. Yeah, Chris Myers.
Chris Myers. Is he Canadian by any chance? Because they often cast Canadians for those small roles.
They often kill off the Canadians. Yeah,
they do. True. They do. Although Battelle is Canadian and she's been around for a while, so
not enough in his bio to really know for sure.
Yeah. Well, again, it's good that they took the time to make us care about that character. But again, now when you look back at it, you're just going to look back at it and think, oh, this was all just built up so that when he dies, we care.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. My elevator pitch was, do you want to play a game?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because it was it was very video gamey. Like even like they all go into the room together, but they end up getting separated into pairs. Mm-hmm. And then it dawns on them they're actually in the same room, because they don't walk into each other, which I think would be funny if they did, right? But they're supposed to be in different planes, like different. Yeah,
they couldn't have walked into each other if they were on different dimensional planes, theoretically. But yeah, it's interesting that they happen to have Beto's camera there that shows that they're all in the same place, and yeah. Although how that worked, being able to perceive through dimensions, and the emotionally adaptive camera was also an interesting development. I never remember that one coming along, but
well, I mean, it's like 200 years in the future, right?
So, sure.
Who knows? I mean, he's trying to explain to her how AI works at one point. I'm like, we're in the future. You don't have to explain AI to people.
Yeah, and also wasn't there like giant monster AI creatures already appearing in all these things? Like,
yeah, exactly. Well, even the solution, like the invisible bridge, that was very video gamey too, because I can't tell you a number of times I've played a game where you have to go from one spot to another, and it turns out that there's an invisible block or an invisible bridge or something you have to step on.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, right?
Leap of faith.
The leap of faith.
Yeah, that's true, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I wrote that down. I was like, oh, the leap of faith. There you go. It's a thing. It's a move.
Yeah. Which one? That was the one with the Holy Grail. Was that the one?
Yeah. Because remember, he has to walk across the thing, and it's been painted to look like the cliff face in front of it, but it looks the same. Yeah. So pew pew pew. I had the Gamble versus Battelle like inner demon fight, where like the Gorn part of Battelle senses the evil. What did they call it? Vesda. When they started calling it Vesda, did you automatically go to Vecna from Stranger Things? I was like, it's a little too close, but. I thought that was really cool, because she just like this sort of primal version of Battelle sort of takes over and just starts like pounding away at this guy. That was kind of a neat scene. And then of course the makeup they had on the actor playing Gamble, who had his like eye sockets all burned out and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, cool.
For an Easter egg for this one, I think they're doing a good job of. Yeah, I was a little worried when they brought Corby on that they might take him in directions that would be sort of incongruous, but he keeps talking about like wanting to live forever. He keeps talking about like this sort of desire to sort of, transcend humanity. And that really ties in nicely with where we know the character ends up in season 1 of Star Trek, the original series, right? When he was talking to her and she mentions the fountain of youth, and he's talking about like, existing beyond, mortal life and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is actually really good foreshadowing for anybody who's either in the know or could also, lead from this into that. It really does kind of stay, because it's hard. I mean, obviously you're trying to write a backstory for somebody who, was in an episode, right? But I think they're staying pretty true to it. Yeah. Quotes. I only had a couple that I liked. I liked the final quote from Chapel right before we go to the opening credits, which is, "Captain, we're going to need a bigger landing party." Of course, that's a Jaws reference. And I really liked Calcaine doing the.
Would you like another shot for the camera?
Talking to the camera, but I really liked, I have no scientific way of putting this, but whatever it is, it gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Heebie-jeebies,
yeah. She was just having a great time in this episode. Like, yeah, she was cooking. It was good. Okay. Did you have any other ones before I jump in with my big question?
No. There was a lot other than the video game Easter eggs, but there wasn't anything Star Trek related Easter egg wise.
I didn't really see much. I mean, I might go back and give it a second watch, but yeah. Okay. Bioengineering new eyeballs. Commander LaForge, please report to the sickbay. We're going to grow you some new eyeballs. Like, why did that guy have to wear a hairband on his eyes for all those years?
But even the when they put the visor on the dude when he was after he just got his eyes burned, right?
Didn't he look like Stevie Wonder from like 1982? I was thinking
this is like the early hairband sort of thing, right? Like I thought maybe that was going to become his visual cortex or whatever, right?
Yeah. I immediately went to like Rick James or Stevie Wonder, like that sort of, late 70s, early 80s, that sort of visor sunglasses kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, it was a look, but I don't know. It's stuff like that, the incongruities of this stuff that's like, we grew you a new kidney. Like, okay, if you can grow kidneys from pills, how come you can't make LaForge see properly?
Yeah, and there was speaking of that same character and Battelle, they have at one point they have a bit of a fight, and because they get possessed by other persons, right? And that's a trope from the original series too, because there was the one where Kirk and Spock and I think maybe Chapel or something like that, they all get possessed by these orbs, the entities that are in the orbs, and then they use the bodies as sort of conduits, right? So. Which is one of the ones where I think it's one of the ones where Leonard Nimoy does a little bit of kissing too, right? Because
he's out of character, yeah.
Yeah.
I did. So the scene where the possessed Gamble punches through the force field in the brig and murders the red shirt security guard.
Yeah.
I always have
he murdered a couple of people in this show.
He did, and I have a tough time with the idea of like, but. I'm something evil. I have possessed a human being. I have shown no exceptional abilities other than like to possess this person, but now I can put my fist through a force field.
Yeah.
And like, shouldn't his arm have just shattered into 1,000 pieces punching that thing? Like, I don't know. I hate when there's no kind of context to like, I'm feeling more powerful. Like they didn't even try and sort of muddle through. They were just like, all of a sudden he can punch through a force field. Like, okay, that's weird.
Or the fact that he could easily dupe a security guard into walking towards the
by like sounding like his mom. Like, again, they show that he has like the ability to like tap into your mind, but again, like the physical stuff, I always find it weird when they're like, wow, I've taken over this human form and suddenly they're invulnerable. Like, that's not a thing. If you're taking over the form, don't you have the limitations of the form? I don't know, but yeah, that's always a tricky one. What did you think of the resolution of this, where they basically stick the evil entity into the transport buffer but don't actually get rid of it? And there's a lot of foreshadowing to this episode that just feels like maybe this is a to be continued. I don't know.
Well, definitely, because because we see the transport computer displayed glitch and show the other text, right?
Yeah. So like, is the Enterprise to be possessed in a future episode, or? But
even the whole idea of this they discover this sort of tower with this glowing loose like translucent ball or sphere, and then there must be some technology around here to make this happen. Like, that's another trope from the original series too, right? So
yeah,
when they do the reveal, that's when she says we need a bigger boat. But that was kind of a little over the top, right? So stuff.
Yeah, it was a good episode. I wouldn't say it was an all timer. It did feel a little ultimately unsatisfying in its way, because A, we killed off a sort of fun character. B, I didn't feel like, just because they escaped from the sort of evil prison or whatever it was, it didn't feel very satisfying. Like, there was no kind of conclusion to that part of it. So yeah, it just feels like this one I'm going to keep my eye on. I feel like there's more to tell on this story. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it reminded me a lot like of Tomb Raider. Like, there's these side missions in the game where you go and raid a tomb, and there's always a way in, and then you have to solve a big problem like a puzzle, like they did, and then once you've got the trophy or the cup or whatever it is you're after, then you can leave, right? that's what this felt like. It's sort of like they get in, they get. I mean, I mean, I don't know about you, but I knew they were going to get locked in the minute they walked in, right? So, but how deep would the rabbit hole go? And the fact that he sends the camera in deeper, that they find they find the other statue or whatever, right? So, and it has a life sign too, which they didn't really explore, right? So this inanimate object has a life sign, so that's odd. Yeah, there's a lot of hand wavy, as I would call it, things going on in this episode that they didn't really didn't really satisfactorily kind of explain, right? So
we're 5 episodes into the season, so halfway, and so far we've had there was definitely continuity between the episodes, especially between 1 and 2, because even though they're 3 months apart, there was definitely lingering effects. Obviously, Ortega's had PTSD, some of that stuff. But there hasn't been kind of what we've had in the past seasons, where this sort of looming threat of the Gorn, or what a thing, the big bad, something else that's happening. Are you enjoying the sort of one-off, different storytell, sort of Twilight Zone-y kind of standalone episode stuff that we're getting, or would you like to see a little more cohesion?
I don't know. I guess I prefer Star Trek to be sort of like these bon mot, little episodes. Yeah. However, I do like the sort of long, the threads that arc through the series, through the series, this whole thing with what's going on with Batel and Ortega, and now Spock. That he did a mind meld with Batel, because they do show that in the preview that there's a possession here. And again, why did Batel take on Gamble? Like, why when she saw him and realized he wasn't really the ensign, he was like possessed by this other being? That why all of a sudden did she snap and start fighting him? Right, that was probably the pew pew, by the way.
And also, why is she still around? Didn't we wasn't it just 2 episodes ago that she was like, well, she's going to go off and be her own captain again? Like, why is she still on the ship?
Well, no, I think that was before they discovered that she's got this thing that only Mbenga can treat her for, right? Out of all the doctors in the entire known universe. I
mean, he's good.
Yeah. But he's not McCoy.
No, I mean, really. I wonder if we're going to get any more. Who are we missing now? Is Bones the only character we haven't seen yet?
We haven't seen Bones.
We haven't seen Sulu or Chekhov.
Or Ensign Rand. We haven't seen her.
Rand, it's true.
But mind you, a lot of those people.
Isn't it Yeoman? Wasn't she Yeoman?
She's a Yeoman, yeah.
Yeah.
She's no longer with us either.
Really feels like McCoy is the last sort of major character we haven't seen, right? I mean,
yeah.
Sulu and Chekhov.
You think they can bring Carl Urban back for that, or?
I would love that, because I thought he was a great Dr. Bones, but
especially when he gives
he keeps giving him the shots.
Chris Pine with but makes his hand blow up and stuff.
Was one of the highlights of that first one. Yeah.
You'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Now, a word from our sponsor. Now, back to the show.
All right, we'll move on to some Foundation.
Sure, let's do some Foundation. I'm trying to. This was an odd episode. Not a lot of. I mean, maybe it was trying to explain a bunch of things. Like, I didn't get the whole thread with Demerzel and her doubts, and the person she's talking to. Like, where did that woman come from?
Well, she introduced her earlier in the season because she wanted to have somebody who she could use as a sounding board, because she realized she'd painted herself into a corner, right? So is
that like a simulated person, like an audio?
No. So I think she was essentially supposed to be like a counselor. I think, was it the first episode or second episode we met her, where she basically says I need somebody to sort of give me their input, but at the end of every session, I'm going to wipe your mind, because we can't have you knowing anything about what I'm saying. You can't tell anybody that I'm A, robot, and B, I'm extremely old. I did think it was really interesting though, because she does talk about what does it mean to be she's entered this quandary, right? She basically confesses that she was the one who orchestrated the attacks on the Starbridge that blew it up, killed hundreds of millions of people, and it was all in order to keep Foundation going, because she thought that Foundation's existing would be good for Empire. And we didn't know that, unless of course you read the books, but we didn't know that here. And so that was a big revelation. And, you know, so the horror that we see in this character, Zephyr, who is who she's talking to, is just like, oh my God. So like, you're, you know, not only this like ancient robot, but you are like beyond mass murderer. Because not only is she responsible for the hundreds of millions that died in the Starbridge, but then Empire goes and basically peppers Thespis and Anacreon afterwards, right? Like basically destroys those two planets as revenge. So she could actually be responsible for hundreds of millions, if not billions, of deaths. And that's on top of having been a general in the Robot Wars, where she was, you know, ostensibly one of the great generals on the robot side, right? So she's probably killed more people than anyone in history at this point. So yeah, so that was kind of interesting. And then I thought it was interesting how she was talking about like, well, I kept Foundation alive because I thought it would be good for Empire, but now Foundation's gotten stronger to the point where it actually might take down Empire, and now I'm responsible for the downfall of Empire. And if Empire falls and I'm programmed now to be faithful to Empire, then what am I? So it's interesting to have the idea of a robot questioning existence and purpose, right? Like that was kind of the fun part of this episode was, and
that's a very, very Asimov thing too.
The actress, I keep meaning to write these things down, who plays her.
Byrne, it's Laura Byrne.
Byrne, that's right. And she was terrific in just like trying to articulate, and, you know, just the way she's kind of like, she's supposed to be this supremely long-lived, intelligent, you know, creature, and yet is just lost inside these quandaries, these ethical dilemmas and stuff like that. So it's really kind of interesting, I thought. And then, yeah, I didn't really, you know, some of the digressions in this episode, you know, that we get a little bit that, you know, the stuff with Pritchard and Gale, and, you know, talking about the next crisis, and she's still freaking out because she thinks the mule's going to take her out. And I think that was, I don't know, get to it already, I think is my issue on that one. Like, you've been talking about this for like 6 episodes now. Can you move forward with this stuff?
Well, we'll find out tonight, right?
Yeah. And the other one was the whole, like, I thought the 3 different stories of Day, Dawn, Day, and Dusk were really interesting because they all kind of come to a head, right? Where like, where Dawn decides to go with Gale and, you know, tries to basically figure out what's going on that side. Get Day basically is like working his extraction plan so that he can get out from under Demerzel, and he ends up betraying and killing the guy who's helping him for breaking his oath, which is really funny. And then we get,
which he asked him to do, right? He asked him to break the oath.
Yeah, right? And then we get Dusk also, you know, with the Prime Radiant and talking with the ambassador from the Foundation, and, you know, trying to basically figure out like how can that version of Empire stay in power. At this point, that's the only version of Empire that's going to be left on the planet. So yeah, it's kind of interesting, but yeah, I mean, this was a little bit of an expositional episode for sure. There's a lot of stuff to process through. This is, I think, the challenge of this show is, and we talked about it being like high sci-fi. You got to pay attention, right? Like there's so much history. There's so many layers. There's so many bits. Like when Demerzel's talking about like all the different lives she's led and stuff like that, and you're just trying to wrap your head around like somebody being that omnipresent in history, right? Like it's a lot to think about. And, you know, it seems like the season is building towards the, you know, the great conjunction where Harry Seldon's vault is going to open up, and they're going to, you know, hear more wise words, and that's going to be part of the thing that kicks off the next crisis. And so, yeah, I mean, it feels like this episode was very much just about stage setting. We're going to get all the people in place. We're going to move these things forward so that when it goes off, right? Hopefully we'll start to get a little more action, a little less talky, a little more movie.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But like I said, at midnight tonight, it will be revealed for the, what is it, 5th episode? Yeah, 5's
dropping tonight, and yeah, season wraps up on 10 episodes, wraps up on September 12th.
Ooh, I might be watching it somewhere else.
Abroad, yes. Well, the final season of Strange New Worlds is the day before, too, so.
It's true.
You're doing a bunch of overseas watching.
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Do we move on to? Are we ready for the watch list?
Sure.
Or do you have big questions? No big questions.
This whole show is filled with big questions, but you know, no, I think we can move on. Okay. For my watch list, I watched, so we talked last year, I guess it was last year, we talked about some of the stuff that's happening with the Gene Roddenberry Vault, some of the information that they've been able to put out. They put out, the sort of the little Spock short, they put out some of their stuff. The latest thing they've dropped was this week. They put out a 30-minute documentary called The Lost Voyages, Phase 2 and the Rebirth of Star Trek.
Who's they that put this out?
So this is I think it's called Oyot or whatever. This is the same. It's the same group that did all of these other previous releases on YouTube of Roddenberry Vault stuff. Roddenberry Archive, I think it's called.
It is relative to Star Trek and Roddenberry, or
yeah, no. This is actually from the producer of this documentary is Gene's son, and this is official-ish. So
like Leonard Nimoy's son did that thing that Sheldon was sort of in for Big Bang Theory. Yeah.
So yeah, it's called OTOY, which is that's how they release this stuff onto YouTube. Anyway, the crux of this one is that it is a 30-minute documentary that is basically looking at the rise of popularity of Star Trek through the 1970s and syndication, and the development of what was going to be a new TV series called Star Trek Phase 2, and how it kind of happened concurrently with the idea that they were going to turn it into a movie.
Right, because I think some of the props and costumes and things from Phase 2 is what they used in the movie.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and so unfortunately, it's an interesting look. If you are a fan, like this hardcore of a fan, there isn't a lot of new stuff here, but it is interesting to have it all sort of put together. The problem is that we're getting to that point, and we just talked about it earlier with the fact that, George Takei and Walter Koenig and William Shatner are the only ones left. But in that same way, so are all the writers, the producers, the all the extra people, the script supervisors, all these different people. So there's not a lot of other people. There's only about 4 or 5 people who can speak about these things sort of authoritatively, and even then, it seems a little skewed at times. But if you aren't familiar with this part of the Star Trek history, it is really kind of interesting to sort of understand all these moves that were being made. There was talk in the 1970s that they were gonna CBS was gonna spin Star Trek off into its own new show, and it was gonna be the lead program for this new thing called the Paramount Network that they were gonna start. And at the time, they were gung-ho. They started they brought in writers. They basically brought back the original cast. And they were really going at it. But then simultaneous to that, there were other people inside Paramount who were talking about this thing's so popular. Why are we thinking so small? Shouldn't we think about a movie? And anyway, it's a really interesting look at that period of the 1970s, prior to the post original series cancellation and prior to the release of Star Trek the Motion Picture in 1978. They make a point of saying, everybody thinks that we did Star Trek the Motion Picture because Star Wars was a hit, but the reality is we were way, way, way ahead of this. It was coming one way or the other. If Star Wars had not existed, we still would have gotten Star Trek the Motion Picture in 1978. It's just because of their proximity that they get inevitably lumped, and also because they are arguably 2 of the most famous and popular space science fiction stories ever told. So, it's worth a watch for sure, especially if you are, not clear on that sort of phase. It's interesting to hear some of the people's stories and anecdotes, but it would have been really nice if we could have gotten some archive conversations with, Gene Roddenberry or Leonard Nimoy or, any number of people who could have brought some more insight. We are kind of getting this from a limited number of perspectives, and I feel like it can't help but feel like there's a little bit missing from it. But it's still a really interesting little trip down memory lane for, how Star Trek came back from the dead. Somewhere
in my archives, not in this house, I think it's in storage, I have a book which has illustrations from Phase 2 and all that kind of stuff. And it was sort of a compendium of a synopsis of all the episodes of Star Trek, and then Phase 2, and then the movies, and then the Next Generation, right? Because I don't think it doesn't have Deep Space Nine or Voyager in it, but it was sort of looking at where it was sort of the 20th anniversary or something like that, wherever that fits into the timeline. But I had this book, and so I knew about Phase 2 a long time ago. And you're right. I mean, the thing about what Star Wars brought in terms of movie making was motion capture of spaceships. That was those computer enabled filming of the models, because before the models were filmed like they were in Thunderbirds, they were just hanging on a wire with the smoke going up kind of thing, yeah. So it was, and it was also with Superman, making Superman fly. That was another from the original Superman movie, right, where it made you feel like you're what it would be like to have human powered flight, right? So, and that was that's like we were talking about the studio. I just was watching an interview with Seth Rogen. Apparently they broke some record of Emmy nominations for the studio.
Oh yeah.
But they were talking about the oneer, where all of a sudden now you're seeing everywhere. You're seeing shows where they do a one
take
capture, one take kind of thing. Even if it's like one take to the first commercial or something like that, right?
Well, I mean, as an artistic challenge, it's hard. It's just it can be really impressive, and they did it really well in the show.
40-minute show for sure, exactly. But I mean, it started with the story of Children of Man was the first movie that did sort of a real long oneer, but. Yeah, they were really good, those oneers in that movie. But anyway, the whole movie wasn't done that way, just bits and pieces of it. It's cool. Actually, I was just watching Wednesday. I was going to say that Billy Piper's in it. I don't know if you knew that.
No, but I mean, I saw that Christopher Lloyd, Steve Buscemi, and lots of people, but
not Christopher Lloyd, Fred Armisen.
Both of them are in it.
Christopher Lloyd, what's he playing?
He's playing one of the teachers, one of the professors.
Oh, because he was Fester in the movies, right?
He was, and I think that's probably why he got.
Oh, they're bringing back all the people because they had Christina Ricci in the first season, yeah.
Okay, another piece of Star Trek fun. I saw this on social media the other day. There's somebody who I follow is an actor, Scotsman named Kenny Boyle, who's an actor, and he has a really fun social media channel. I recommend if you enjoy the things Scottish, which you and I are both partially of Scottish descent. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I enjoy his work, and he often does. He'll sort of tell you about things in pop culture and movies and stuff like that, and how they tie into true Scottish culture and stuff like that. And the other day he did this great one where he talked about the character of Montgomery Scott on Star Trek, and he said, I don't know if you noticed on last week's episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, but Scotty is wearing a kilt. And he said, I know my tartans, and I was really impressed that they took the time to have him wearing the official Scott tartan. So that is the tartan of Clan Scott. And so, that's an attention to detail, because not everybody certainly does that when it comes to things like tartans. They don't necessarily look for the right tartan. They just look for a tartan. And they said that one that he was wearing, that the actor was wearing in Strange New Worlds, matches the one that James Doohan wore back in the original series, same tartan, which is the one of Clan Scott. And that is one that was created by Sir Walter Scott, who, of course, famous British, or Scottish, I should say, playwright and author. And so, he's basically supposing, if you watch this little, minute and a half video that Kenny put out, he's basically saying seems to be supposing that not only is Scott wearing is Scotty wearing the right tartan, but he was actually a descendant of Sir Walter Scott, which is a neat little Easter egg for Star Trek fans. So so have a look at that. It's very breezy little minute and a half video, but also Kenny's a lot of fun, so I recommend him as a follow. And the last thing I have is next week we're getting the debut of Alien Earth, which is the new Alien TV series. This is the first Alien TV series. We've never had an Alien TV series before.
Oh, from the Alien,
Yep. Alien Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, Alien Covenant, Alien Romulus, Prometheus, all that stuff. This is, so coincidentally or not, the Apple store is having a sale this week. The iTunes store is having a sale this week on all the Alien movies. But the early buzz is starting to come out. So this is coming out on August the 12th. Happy birthday to you. It's coming on FX/Disney Plus. Here in Canada, it's in Disney Plus. And the early reviews are starting to come out, and they are people are saying can't miss. This is a really, really good show. This is by the same guy who did Legion and Fargo. So, good pedigree. And apparently good early results, and so I'm kind of I come and go on Alien sometimes. I don't love all of it, but I must admit I'm kind of a little psyched up for this.
Yeah, I like the first movie, and I've seen the first movie in an IMAX cut as well, which is really cool. Yeah, I think I went and saw it in theaters just a little while ago too. Yeah, good one. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see this when it comes out. Cool. I got a couple of things here. One is this really interesting little TikTok video I saw, and I think I posted it to the Slack channel, but it's about this guy who walks into a room and he's Australian, and he says to the kids, "Hey, do you want to watch, Beauty and the Beast or whatever?" And the kids all sort of like, "Isn't that the one where the guy kidnaps the girl and puts her in the basement?" And like, isn't that a little, on the nose kind of like? So the kids are calling him out on all this sort of Disney and Willy Wonka. Isn't that the one where he, lures kids with candy and then kills their parents off? And so it's sort of the whole, and then, the whole gist of it is that, we're woke, right? So at one point, one of the kids even says, "I'm not a lawyer, but," It's a fun little video if you watch that. In spirit of Jaime, who's not here to present for himself. And Invasion is a show that's been on Apple TV this is 2 seasons in now, and this is the 3rd season is coming out in a couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to watching that one. So I don't know if you've watched Alien at all, or Invasion, I should say.
I haven't. I know you have watched the previous couple seasons. I haven't watched any of it. Is it? I think you said that you were a little concerned that it was going to end prematurely, right? You were worried they wouldn't be able to finish it or something.
Yeah. Well, it was the same thing with the War of the Worlds one that I watched, the British, which was the sort of a retake on the War of the Worlds story, which had a bit of time travel component in it. With Gabriel Byrne was one of the main characters, and he ends up going back in time and has to kill this girl, and they're like, why are you trying to kill her? And because in the future she's like the demon seed thing, right? But anyway, so Invasion is a bit like, it's very similar to that kind of show. Like, it has that sort of War of the Worlds kind of thing. It's like an alien invasion of some type, right? And it's about a mother and her kids, and how she kind of sort of figures it out. And there's like other characters, like there's, what's it? Maybe it's this one here where there's some kid who can draw stuff, or maybe it's in the World of Worlds. It was a kid who like had a sort of, sixth sense sort of thing, and he could draw things and, that kind of stuff. Right. Yeah. It was like he would draw these, aliens, and then they put the kids' drawings with the thing. That may be Invasion, or that might be, maybe conflating the 2 shows, but they're both good. And season 3 of this one's coming. Anyway, the British War of the Worlds did wrap up. I think it did 2 or 3 seasons, but it wrapped up. Yeah, so that's it for me. And so until next time, Jonathan, if people can get in touch with you, where would they find you?
Well, you can find me on Blue Sky, and on Instagram is @JPK News, or on YouTube at youtube.com/@JPK.
All right. And my name is Dimitra, TIMMITRA, and I can be found on Blue Sky, on Mastodon, lurking on LinkedIn,
all that stuff.
Various places, yeah.
And you can find our man Jaime if you can get him out of the transporter.
Yeah, he's in the transporter buffer.
You can find him
on Instagram as Dev with the Hair. I think Instagram works in the transporter buffer, though. So, yeah.
He'll find you.
Cool. He'll find you. All right. So until next time, we'll see you in the future. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Spotcast podcast. This is Jean-Luc Picard. Shut up, Wesley. Sorry, say again. Just the tag. Gotcha. If you want to find out more about the podcast or see the episode show notes, visit the Spotcast website at spotcast.com. If you have feedback or questions, you can get in touch with us on the website. If you like the show, please consider recommending us to a friend, writing a review on iTunes, or pledging any amount at patreon.com/spotcast. You can find details on how to help us on our website, spotcast.com/sponsor us. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the future.
Send me $3 so that we would turn off the Prime ads.
Yeah,
Which I don't really. They only show them at the very beginning sometimes, or maybe like 20 minutes into a show, and then it's kind of like not horrible, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, the lack of patience. His sister's the same way. When they're watching stuff on YouTube, they both get really bent out of shape with ads. It's so funny because obviously it's something you and I grew up with, and so we just kind of tune it out, but they just seem to be just infuriated by it. So yeah,
how would you know about those Honey Nut Oats? And
how are you going to know which new Star Wars toys you want to buy if you don't watch the commercials?
Exactly. Or what Mattel, Hot Wheels things are coming out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's see,
Hungry Hippos,
what food service delivery you want, or how to do your best hiring. Wait a minute.
Well, I mean, I pay for YouTube Prime, or Premium, or whatever. So I never see the ads because I mean, we have Quinn who comes here and watches YouTube on our TVs and stuff, and we don't want her inundated with ads, right? So it's a small price to pay, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's as long as...
Plus, I appreciate it. Whenever I go to YouTube and I'm not logged in and I see an ad, I'm like, what? Log in.
Yeah, it is true, though. We definitely feel like spoiled now. This generation is definitely in a better place than us, where, we used to have to watch so many ads. And yeah, they don't have nearly that same amount. I remember just trying to watch a television program and being like, okay, but then I think about that sometimes when I watch stuff that is clearly supposed to be originally broadcast on TV. Even Star Trek, right? Like, there are built-in breaks. I like a built-in break. I appreciate a built-in break.
Well, and it's funny, like, how many shows you watch where there's obviously a commercial break, a bumper in there, right? Like, it kind of, the story comes, it fades to black, and it picks right back up again, right? So there's a lot of shows that are produced in such a way that they have those bumps, right? So, I mean, I guess these guys never watch reality TV where, I'll tell you about it right after this message.
Yeah. Gotta hook you. They gotta hook you.
Yeah, they get you all warmed up for the explanation, and then you gotta wait,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I usually don't stick around waiting.
Well, whatever makes the kid happy. If he's willing to send you $3 a month, then whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the things I don't even think about because we get Prime I have the Prime. I get it for the delivery, right?
Right.
I don't really care about the shows, and in fact, I shouldn't say that. I did watch something. I watched that Black Bag movie. Which it's funny because I just watched the spy show with Michael Fassbender in it, and I can't remember if it was one season or two seasons, and I can't remember the name of the show now that I think about it, but he's literally the same character. It was a different name, right? Except in this one, he's by himself. In the Black Bag, he's married to Cate Blanchett, who's like, she's higher up in the food chain than he is. She's kind of like first desk or second desk kind of thing, like not quite the same vernacular as Slow Horses, but she's up there. She knows things that he doesn't know and whatever. And every time he says, like, where are you going? She says, Black Bag, what's this week's trip all about? She'll look at him and go, Black Bag. Like, it's just their terminology for these, secret things, right? So it's a good movie. It's not bad. It's probably 3.5 stars out of 5, right? But it's fun. But like literally having just watched him in a spy thriller for the last, season or two, and then seeing him in this one, right? So, but that was on Prime.
Yeah, we've been watching Clarkson's Farm, and that's one of the shows that we can watch together. So all three of us watch. Faye has no interest, but the rest of us like to watch it, and of course the commercials pop up. Oh man, commercials! I'm like, it's 45 seconds. Like, what?
Yeah, go to the bathroom, get a coffee, get a soda. Geez, that's what we used to do.
Yeah, these kids nowadays and their lack of coping skills with tedium. How else are you going to learn to be patient when you're waiting in line? And of course, now everybody's got a phone in their pocket.
Invincible's on Prime too. Yeah, I haven't finished Invincible yet.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, at least the boys are coming back at some point. Gen B's coming soon.
Yeah, that's on Prime too, right? Yeah, and Handmaid's Tale is now on Prime as well. But I kind of watched the first 3 episodes and I went, I'm bored with this. I'm going to go sleep. Yeah.
You know what Sharon I watched, which is actually really good? I don't know if you've seen it yet, but there's a movie on Prime called Lee. It's about one of the first female photojournalists who was embedded with U.S. troops going in when they invaded France and into Germany. and is based on a real person, and it's Kate Winslet is the lead, and it's about her going in and trying to sort of in this very male-oriented environment.
Yeah, and there's a young girl in it too. Is that the one? BAFTA Film Award, is that the one?
Yeah. It was really good. I liked it.
There was another movie with her in it where she plays a journalist.
Yeah.
What I want. Yeah, this might be the one.
Yeah.
I may have seen it already.
Yeah. No, I thought that was good. I like that. I thought the real surprise of it is the person who plays her sort of partner is Andy Samberg, who is playing a straight role. Like it's not a comedy at all. And he's playing he's Jewish in real life and also in the movie. And he's playing this. And part of their story is that they were among the first people inside of the concentration camps. And so, this sort of story arc for the two of them having to experience this incredibly intense, traumatic thing, and try and document it and then fight for the pictures to be published. And, it's, that was really well done. I liked it.
Yeah, I think this Lee was one of the ones on my list. Maybe it's not the one I'm thinking of. It's an actor very similar to her that played this photojournalist and this young kid coming up and almost gets her head shot off kind of thing. And
Who Among Us?
Who Among Us has not had his head almost shot off? Yeah. Cool. Check that one out. Another reason to switch over to Prime. And on Netflix, I'm watching The Wednesday.
Yeah, I haven't, because it just dropped yesterday. I was going to watch part of it today, but I wanted to watch South Park. Did you watch the new South Park yet?
No, I haven't watched South Park in a while, but is this one they just had JD Vance? Is that the one?
Yes. So last week or 2 weeks ago was Donald Trump, and they went hard after him. This one wasn't quite as over the top, but they took some pretty good stabs at more of the U.S. political situation, and it was pretty funny. Yep.
Nice. Yeah, there's so many shows on that and so many different networks. I lose track of which one's on what and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I usually I have actually in my Safari tabs, I actually have a rundown of from Rotten Tomatoes has a rundown of all the premiere dates. Oh, that's what I should have talked about. I should have talked about Eyes of Wakanda. I watched Eyes of Wakanda too.
Oh yeah.
Eyes of Wakanda is only 4 episodes, and it's a weird thing to have called it because it really feels like it should have been called like War Dogs of Wakanda or something. It's basically about the people who are doing these like away missions for the Wakandans and like recovering lost treasures and stuff like that. And it's kind of a triptych through time of like all these different types of people that went off and did these missions to sort of safeguard the goods of Wakanda. It was good, but it was like they dropped 4 episodes all at once and we're like, peace out, homies, we're done. It was just kind of, like brief. It just felt super brief. And again, it was good. It was just like, and because it sort of takes place over the course of time, you don't really sort of like the characters change from episode to episode. There's not like a through line. It did feel a little incongruous to the larger picture. But also I wonder how many people were turned off by like just the name, like Eyes of Wakanda. It doesn't really say anything. It doesn't really mean anything unless once you start like watching it, you're like, oh, I get it. These people are supposed to be like the eyes and ears out in the real world and blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, there was a good, the 3rd episode that crosses, ancient or older, China. So there's a fight between a Wakandan, war dog and somebody who is basically a, Iron Fist. And that was pretty cool. But yeah, it was, it was just kind of strange that it just sort of, they dropped all 4 episodes and we're like, we're done. Like,
yeah. By the way, have you got I don't know what library you're connected to now, but have you heard of Hoopla, the app called Hoopla?
I have, but I don't. I was just thinking about that today because I am now starting. I got my new driver's license and everything down here and some of that stuff. Yeah. But I'm trying to figure out what to do about some of that kind of stuff, like driver's license and all that stuff. So I'll have to.
So Hoopla, which I was surprised by that. I just looked over there because I saw a movie on Apple TV that was interesting. I'm interested in MC Escher, who's obviously an amazing illustrator, right? So there was a documentary about him with his kids talking about his sort of his life and stuff like that, and showing the drawings he was doing at the time, right? like Graham Nash from Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young met him as a young man, and he sort of said, like, when he asked him, like, says you're a great artist, he says, no, I'm a mathematician, right? Anyway, so this movie, when I sort of went to Just Watch to see where to watch the movie, it said it was on Hoopla, so I went over to Hoopla and watched it. But that's not the real story. What I'm telling you about is that there was a movie called Becoming Led Zeppelin, which was in IMAX, right? Which came out, and it came and went, and I missed it, and it was, would have gone to see it, would have loved to have seen that in IMAX, format. But this movie is on Hoopla. Like you can divide. It's like $29.99 on the Apple Store, or it's free on Hoopla. So I sat and watched it one night, and stayed up way too late, but really enjoyed it. It's a really good. It's actually. I think Jimmy Page is involved in the production, but it's actually like clips of them. How they started off, how they kind of formed the band out of the Yardbirds. There's some Yardbird stuff in there too, right? And then how the Yardbirds broke up, and then he went off and he found John Bonham and Robert Plant. Actually, found Robert Plant, who brought John Bonham along, and that he and Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones were both session musicians. They, the song Goldfinger from the Bond series.
Yeah, the Shirley Bassey.
He's playing guitar in that. That's
really?
him. Yeah. So in the Shirley Bassey, when she's singing it on the Academy Awards or whatever it was, he's off stage playing it, right? So. Anyway, it was a weird sort of story because they end up going to the United States and touring the States, and they become really big. Their first album became really big in the States, but like the crickets in the UK, right? And so they took over. They basically took the United States by storm, and then they went back to sort of the buzz sort of followed them back to the UK, and they played this made-for-TV special where they were in this room. And the audience is made up of mothers and kids and just regular, our grandparents kind of thing. Like the wrong audience for this group.
Yeah.
And there's Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones and John Bonham playing heavy metal to these people. Like the kids in the audience with the fingers in their ears and stuff like that, right? And they're playing the first album, like the stuff. And it's amazing performances of all that stuff, right? All the way through, up to... the story kind of goes up to because they played the Troubadour and all that kind of stuff in LA and things like that, where like Elton John took off too, right? But I think it went up to like the second album. Yeah, kind of ends at the second album. But yeah, it's sort of like how this band of musicians kind of got formed together, and like amazing performances if you're a Led Zeppelin fan at all. So highly recommend it. But it's free on Hoopla. Can't argue with that, right?
Yeah.
And the Hoopla app runs on the Vision Pro, so I get to watch it, large size.
Yeah, I'll have to check. Our friend Julie, who lives down here, is an old friend of Jen and Adam. She works at the library here in Florenceville.
Oh, right. You have to ask her about the
I'll have to ask her if that's a thing. I did actually, for the first time I finally made it to the Woodstock. You can technically use your Mississauga library card. I was actually just thinking about that because obviously we're going back to Ontario early September, and I was like, yeah, there's no reason I couldn't go check stuff out of the library because
you can get the Hoopla app on your Apple TV, and therefore you go. That's how I watch it, right?
Yeah.
So I have on my Apple TV, I have Hoopla, and I have Tubi, and I have the Pluto one, right?
Yeah,
so I have those apps on my Apple TV. Plus, you also have various versions of them on the Vision Pro too. But yeah. So if I would just want to watch a movie in the background, I just put it on the Apple TV, right? So
there's been some. I've definitely watched.
Libraries are great. I don't care what people say. Libraries are great.
Libraries are great, and especially now that they are diversified. I was really impressed. I went down to the main branch of the Woodstock Library not that long ago, and it's small. It's a small town. The town only has like 5,000 people, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful historic building. They've added on lots of functionality to it. You can get all kinds of modern stuff, but they don't just check out records and books and media and stuff like that. Like they have a checkout desk where you can take out like a skateboard. You can take out stuff, and
really,
in a small community like this, that's it's not exactly like the most well-to-do community either. Like I think that's a great thing to have in the community. I was really impressed with the attempts to try and meet people where they are. I thought it was really, really neat. So yeah, I was impressed, and definitely will go back and have a look around. I must admit, I'm up to my eyebrows in books. You know my book collection; it's obscene, but I have to go through and I've been trying to read a little bit. I did actually read a really good. I bought a book called "Did You See What Eddie Gein Done Did?" And it's a graphic novel story about one of the most infamous serial killer cases from the 1950s in the United States. And it's about this guy in Wisconsin who is the basis for Leatherface, Norman Bates, and somebody else, another one of the horror spin-offs.
The Leatherface is from Texas Chainsaw?
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So basically this guy was so obsessed with his mom that when she died, he was like lost without her. He decided to start making himself a mom costume out of people. And so when they eventually they connected him to this one crime, and they went and looked into his place, and they found like bones everywhere. He had made like a cereal bowl out of someone's skull. He had like body parts in the fridge and freezer. He was eating people. Like this was somebody who was very, very, very mentally ill. And anyway, it's a really good graphic novel. One of my favorite artists, Eric Powell, did the illustrations, and I just read that in the last couple of weeks as I'm sort of working my way through some of my books. But I must admit, I read that late one night and was like, well, I'm not going to sleep tonight. This is some messed up stuff. But it was still really, if you're interested in the just psychopathic behavior and just where people get these levels of derangement and stuff, it's fascinating, and it's beautifully illustrated, hauntingly so. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one. And they've got a new book. The Eric Powell and the writer that he's working with have a new book that's just come out. That's about Dr. Frederick Wertham, and it's about the guy who led the crusade against comic books in the 1950s. Who basically led to all the comic book burnings and all the, comic books are trash and they're too dark for children. So he basically got like horror comics. That's how we ended up with like the saccharine 1960s Batman, Superman stuff where like nothing bad ever happens and it's all flavorless. That was all spilled out of this stuff because this guy, Frederick Wertham, basically wrote this whole story called The Seduction of the Innocent that was talking about how kids are influenced by media and comic books are the worst thing for them. And they've been reading these horror comic books and they're going to murder their parents in their sleep. And that basically led to people being like, okay, kids, you can't read comic books anymore. So one of the reasons why we don't have as many of those golden age 1930s, 40s, 50s comic books is because they burned them all because this jackass said that they were evil. So the reason why somebody last weekend in San Diego, somebody paid $550,000 for a restored copy of Action Comics #1 because there aren't many left because they burned them.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
Well, first they pulped a lot of them because they were using them for the war efforts in the 1940s, and then the ones that survived from there got thrown into the bonfire. So.
Because they were bad.
That's why there are so few good copies of those old books.
Those old books. T.O.B.
That's it. Yep.
Well, I guess I'll call it a night and go watch Foundation.
There you go. Or More Wednesday, or both.
Or More Wednesday. Yeah, the Wednesday, it's funny, I said just before we go about the Wednesday, like, I watched the first episode. It's an hour long, but it is really dense. Yeah, there's a lot going on in there, right? So yeah, it took me it took me an hour to watch it, but it felt like longer than an hour. So yeah, it's really, really good.
Well, I dug the first season, so I'm looking forward to seeing if they can sustain because it was good.
Yeah. Well, Pugsley's now enrolled in the school. That's all I'm going to say.
There you go. Cool.
Alrighty.
All right. See you next week.
Catch you later.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.